The hostess at Lumiere, one of the city's most exclusive restaurants, regarded Damon Vale with a look of apologetic condescension. "I am terribly sorry, Mr. Vale, but we're completely booked for the evening." "Even for you, I'm afraid I can't conjure a table out of thin air." Damon stood in the warm glow of the entrance, feeling strangely out of place in his tailored charcoal suit and crisp white shirt. He was used to doors opening for him, both the literal and the metaphorical kind. As the CEO of Vale Industries, a tech company valued at over $300 million, he had grown accustomed to recognition, influence, and the quiet power that came with success. People returned his calls within minutes. Restaurants held tables for him without question. Except, apparently, tonight. "I made a reservation some time ago," Damon said, working to keep the frustration out of his voice. Damon Vale, party of one for 8 o'clock. The young hostess with sleek dark hair and a polished, unreadable smile checked her screen again. "I see the reservation, sir, and I apologize profusely. It looks like there was a computer glitch, and it was accidentally cancelled. We only caught it just now. I'm so sorry. If you'd like to wait at the bar, I can see if anything opens up." "But on a Saturday evening." She let the sentence trail off, the meaning clear. Damon glanced toward the bar, already 3 deep with well-dressed patrons laughing over cocktails. The thought of standing there alone on his birthday felt like a special kind of defeat. "Never mind," he said, forcing a polite smile. "Thank you anyway." He turned to leave, his mood sinking even lower than it had been all day. His assistant had sent a generic birthday text. His brother had called from abroad but sounded distracted, ending the conversation after only a few minutes. His ex-wife had sent nothing at all, which wasn't surprising, given how little they had spoken since the divorce. On his birthday, Damon Vale, successful, wealthy, and by every external measure enviable, had nowhere to go and no one to see. He was halfway to the exit when a warm voice called out behind him. "Excuse me, sir." Damon turned. A woman at a table near the window was waving him over. She had dark hair put back in an elegant bun, warm brown eyes, and a smile that felt genuinely friendly rather than merely polite. She wore a cream-colored blouse tucked into jeans casual by the restaurant standards, but she wore it with quiet confidence. Beside her sat a young boy with tousled brown hair and his mother's eyes, dressed in a red and white striped shirt. "Are you looking for a table?" the woman asked as he approached, her expression curious. "Yes. My reservation was cancelled by mistake, it seems. That's terrible," she said, and she sounded like she truly meant it. "Look, my son and I have this whole table to ourselves. It seats 4, and honestly, it feels wasteful. Would you like to join us? I know it's unusual to invite a stranger to dinner, but you look like you could use some company." Damon was so surprised he almost said no out of reflex. But something about the genuine kindness in her eyes and the complete absence of recognition made him pause. She had no idea who he was. "Are you sure? I wouldn't want to intrude on your evening." "You're not intruding if we're inviting you," the boy piped up. "MOM always says there's no such thing as too much kindness." "Right, MOM." The woman laughed, a warm, easy sound that seemed to loosen something tight in Damon's chest. "Right, Matteo. We'd really like you to join us. I'm Elena Vargas, and this is my son, Matteo." "Damon," he said, shaking her hand, and then the boy's, who offered a gravely serious grip. "Damon Vale. And thank you. This is incredibly kind." He sat down across from them. The hostess reappeared almost at once, visibly relieved, and handed him a menu while refilling their water glasses. "So," Elena said, her eyes twinkling with gentle curiosity, "do you always try to dine alone at fancy restaurants on Saturday evenings? Or is this a special occasion?" "It's my birthday," Damon admitted, then immediately felt foolish for how pathetic it sounded. "Your birthday?" Matteo exclaimed. "And you're eating alone? Don't you have any friends?" "Matteo," Elena said gently, though she was smiling. "That's a bit direct." "It's a fair question," Damon said, surprising himself with his honesty. "And the answer is not really. Not close ones anyway. I have business associates and colleagues, but friends, people I'd actually call to have dinner with on my birthday." He shook his head. I've been working so hard for so long that I guess I forgot to maintain those relationships. That's sad, Matteo said with the blunt honesty only a child could manage. But it's okay. You can have birthday dinner with us, right, MOM? Absolutely, Elena said warmly. Everyone deserves company on their birthday. Over dinner, Damon ordered the duck. Elena chose the salmon, and Matteo went with chicken fingers from the children's menu. Damon learned the story. Elena was a social worker who helped families in crisis, often bringing work home because she cared too much to simply leave it at the office. Tonight was special. Matteo had received an award at school for being the most helpful student in his class. He was always the first to volunteer, always looking out for classmates who needed a friend. Elena had wanted to celebrate that, and Matteo had specifically asked to come here after seeing a picture of the restaurant in a magazine and deciding it looked fancy. It is fancy, Matteo confirmed through a mouthful of chicken. There are like 3 forks. Who needs 3 forks? Rich people, Elena said with a teasing smile. Or people pretending to be rich. Which category do I fall into? Damon asked, amused. Elena studied him for a moment. Rich, I'd guess. Your suit is custom tailored. Your watch is a Patek Philippe. I had a client once whose ex-husband was obsessed with expensive watches, so I recognize it. And you carry yourself like someone used to being in charge. Plus, trying to get a table here on a Saturday night with no backup plan suggests money isn't usually a barrier for you. Damon found himself laughing. You're very observant, occupational hazard, she replied. So, what do you do, Damon? What keeps you so busy that you don't have time for friends? I run a tech company, software development, mostly for enterprise clients. We started small years ago, and it's grown into something much larger than I ever anticipated. That's impressive, Elena said, but also exhausting, I imagine. Do you enjoy it? The question caught him off guard. No one ever asked if he enjoyed his work. They asked about profits, growth projections, expansion plans. But enjoyment, I used to, he admitted. In the early days, when it was just me and a few programmers working out of a garage, I loved it. Every problem we solved felt meaningful. Every client we landed was a victory. But now, he paused, surprised by his own candor. Now it feels like I'm just maintaining a machine. I spend my days in meetings reviewing reports, making decisions about things I don't even directly work on anymore. I'm successful by every metric that's supposed to matter. But I'm not sure I remember what it feels like to actually enjoy what I'm doing. That's really sad, Matteo said, looking up from his plate. My MOM says if you don't like your job, you should find a new one. Matteo's right, Elena said. Though I know it's more complicated when you're running a company. Still, life's too short to spend it doing something that leaves you empty. Trust me. I see people every day who spent years making choices that seemed practical or responsible but left them hollow. Money and success are nice, but they're not substitutes for happiness. Speaking from experience, Damon asked gently. Elena nodded. My ex-husband is a lawyer, very successful. He wanted me to quit my job because he thought social work was beneath us. He wanted me to be a stay-at-home MOM and focus on hosting dinner parties for his colleagues. When I refused, when I insisted on keeping my job and my identity, he started looking elsewhere for someone who would play the role he wanted. The divorce was messy, but it was the right choice. I'm happier now, even if money is tighter. MOM works really hard, Matteo added loyally. She helps people who need help. She's basically a superhero. I'm not a superhero, Elena said, smiling. I'm just someone who tries to make a small difference where I can. That's more than most people do, Damon said quietly. The conversation flowed easily after that. Elena told stories about her work, heartbreaking and inspiring in equal measure. Matteo shared elaborate tales from school, complete with dramatic reenactments that made Damon laugh more than he had in months. And Damon, to his surprise, found himself opening up in ways he rarely did with anyone. He spoke about his marriage, how he and his ex-wife had grown apart and stayed together out of habit long after love had faded. He talked about the loneliness of success, how the higher he climbed, the more isolated he felt. Sometimes he woke in his penthouse and felt like he was living in a hotel, not a home. You need people, Elena said simply. Real connections. You can't build a meaningful life alone. I'm learning that, Damon admitted when the check came. Damon reached for it immediately, but Elena shook her head. This was supposed to be a celebration for Matteo. I'm paying, Elena. I appreciate that. But please let me. You invited me to join you when I had nowhere else to go. You gave me the best birthday I've had in years. Let me do this. She hesitated, then nodded. All right. But only because it's your birthday and because Matteo and I are getting dessert, which is going to be expensive. Matteo's eyes lit up. Ice cream. The fanciest ice cream they have, Elena confirmed. They ordered a chocolate souffle to share and Matteo's elaborate sundae, then lingered over coffee and juice for another hour. Damon couldn't remember the last time he had felt this comfortable, this genuinely happy in someone else's company. Finally, Elena checked her watch with a reluctant sigh. I hate to end this, but it's getting late and Matteo has soccer in the morning. We should get going. They walked out together. Damon waited with them while the valet brought Elena's car, an older sedan that had clearly seen better days but was immaculately maintained. Thank you, Damon said as she opened the back door for Matteo. Truly, you have no idea how much this evening meant to me. I'm glad we could help, Elena said. And Damon, I hope you figure out what makes you happy. You seem like a good person. You deserve to enjoy your life, not just succeed at it. Can Damon come to my soccer game tomorrow? Matteo asked suddenly from the back seat. Since it's his birthday weekend, he should do fun stuff, Matteo. I'm sure Damon has plans. I don't, actually, Damon interrupted. And I'd love to come, if that's not too strange. Elena smiled. It's not strange. It's sweet. Games are at 10 at Riverside Park. You'll be able to spot us. We're the ones cheering way too loudly for a group of young players chasing a ball around. They exchanged phone numbers, and Damon watched them drive away, feeling something shift inside him. For the first time in years, he had connected with people who saw him as simply Damon, not the CEO, not the wealthy businessman, not someone who could be useful to them. Just a person. The next morning, Damon showed up at Riverside Park in jeans and a casual button-down, the most informal he had dressed in public in years. He found Elena and Matteo easily, both wearing matching team jerseys. Elena held a thermos of coffee while Matteo bounced with PI game energy. You came, Matteo shouted, running over to hug Damon's legs. I said I would, Damon replied, surprised by how much the boy's enthusiasm warmed him. He sat with Elena on the sidelines, cheering for the Riverside Rangers and learning more about her life. She told him about growing up in a working-class neighborhood, putting herself through college and graduate school, and the deep satisfaction of helping families find resources and stability. She also spoke about the challenges, the bureaucracy, the heartbreaking cases she couldn't fix, the ways the system sometimes failed the people who needed it most. Why do you keep doing it, if it's so frustrating? Damon asked. Because every once in a while I get to see a family turn things around, Elena said. I get to see a child succeed against all odds. I get to be the person who helps someone in their darkest moment. That's worth all the frustration. Making a real difference in even one life matters more than any paycheck ever could. Damon thought about his own work, about how far removed he had become from any real sense of purpose or impact. When was the last time he had felt that what he did truly mattered beyond quarterly profits? After the game which the Rangers lost, though everyone seemed to have fun anyway, Matteo begged Damon to join them for ice cream. Ice cream turned into lunch. Lunch turned into a walk in the park. By the time the sun began to set, Damon had spent nearly the entire day with them. I don't want to monopolize your whole weekend, he said as they walked back to the car. You're not, Elena assured him. We're enjoying your company. It's nice to have an adult to talk to who isn't another parent comparing carpool schedules. Can Damon come over for dinner this week? Matteo asked. Matteo, Damon's probably very busy. I'm not, Damon said. I mean, I am, but I can make time. I'd like to, if you'll have me, Elena smiled. Then yes. Come to dinner, Wednesday. I'll cook. It won't be fancy like the restaurant, but I promise it'll be good. Wednesday dinner became Friday movie night. Friday movie night became Sunday brunch. Before Damon quite realized it, Elena and Matteo had become a steady presence in his life, the people he called when something good happened, the ones he wanted to spend his free time with, the ones who felt like family. His assistant noticed the change. You've been leaving the office at reasonable hours, she commented one day, and you actually took last Saturday completely off. Are you feeling all right? I'm feeling better than I have in years, Damon told her honestly. His business partners noticed too. You seem different, his COO said during a strategy meeting. Happier, less stressed. What's changed? I remembered there's more to life than work, Damon said simply. In the months that followed, Damon often sat in Elena's modest apartment, so different from his sleek penthouse, helping Matteo with homework while Elena made dinner. It felt more like home than anywhere he had lived in a long time. Damon, Matteo said one evening, looking up from his math worksheet. Are you going to be Mom's boyfriend? Matteo, Elena called from the kitchen. That's personal, but I want to know, Matteo insisted. Because I think it would be cool. You're nice. You help with homework, and you're funny. Plus, you make Mom smile a lot. Damon looked toward the kitchen, where Elena stood in the doorway holding a dish towel, her cheeks faintly pink. I'd like to be, he said, meeting her eyes. If your Mom would be interested in that. I would, Elena said softly. Very interested, Matteo cheered. Does this mean we can move to your fancy house? Matteo, Elena said again, laughing. Actually, Damon said, I've been thinking about selling the penthouse. It never felt like home. I'd rather find something that is maybe with a yard where a certain someone can practice soccer. Elena's eyes filled with tears. Damon, you don't have to. I want to, he said firmly. For the first time in years, I want something beyond success and profits. I want a real life with people I care about. You and Matteo showed me what that looks like. We're not your charity project, Elena said, her voice catching. You're not charity. You're the people who saved me when I was drowning and didn't even know it. That night at the restaurant, I was completely alone on my birthday, feeling as though I'd succeeded at everything that didn't matter and failed at everything that did. You invited me to your table. You shared your celebration. You showed me kindness when you had no reason to, and you've kept showing me kindness every day since. You've given me more than I could ever give you. That's not true, Elena said. Damon, you've been wonderful with Matteo. You've shown up for him in ways his own father never did. And you've given me someone to share things with, someone who understands the loneliness of working too hard for too long. You've given us both so much. Can we all live together? Matteo asked hopefully. Because I really want to live somewhere with a yard. And a dog. Can we get a dog? One thing at a time, Elena laughed, wiping her eyes. But several months later, they did move in together, not into Damon's penthouse, but into a house in a neighborhood with good schools, tree-lined streets, and a yard where Matteo could play. Damon kept working, but restructured his role, promoting younger team members to handle day-to-day operations while he focused on long-term strategy and the innovative work he had originally loved. He made time for dinner with his family every evening. He coached Matteo's soccer team. He volunteered alongside Elena at the community center where she ran support groups. He rediscovered what it meant to have a life outside of work. To measure success by different metrics than profit margins. On his birthday the following year, Damon woke in the house he now shared with Elena and Matteo. They had, indeed, gotten a dog, a golden retriever named Buddy. Elena was making pancakes. Matteo was carefully wrapping a present he had made at school. A picture frame decorated with buttons and glitter that said, World's Best Damon. It's supposed to say, World's Best Dad. Matteo explained. But Mom said I should check with you first before I called you that. Damon felt his throat tighten. I'd be honored if you called me that. Matteo beamed. Okay, then it says World's Best Dad, even though the words say Damon. You just have to imagine it. That evening, Elena threw a birthday party, a small gathering of people Damon had come to know through her. Parents from Matteo's school, colleagues from the community center, neighbors from their street. Real people with real lives who knew him simply as Damon.